Hey everyone, before we get into this, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more stories like this. Snow hadn't fallen yet, but the breeze sliced right through my jacket as though November held a secret I wasn't aware of. One of my hands rested on Ella's shoulder, while the other steadied the casserole I'd prepared entirely from scratch the previous evening. Jake trailed a couple of paces behind, holding the pumpkin pie carefully with both hands as if it were something holy. We pressed the doorbell. Nobody responded. A minute later, I entered via the rear door, just like I'd done ever since I could grasp the knob as a child. The kitchen carried scents of sage, crispy turkey, and the cinnamon glaze Dad invariably brushed on the ham. It ought to have seemed like returning to my roots, yet nobody glanced our way. Mom was at the countertop, shaping fabric napkins into precise points. Her hair appeared shorter than in my memory, her grin missing. She briefly eyed the children, then resumed with her napkins as though they represented the sole aspect she could manage. Dad stood near the living room pane, twirling his whiskey as if anticipating a more significant guest. My younger sibling, Ryan, had already downed half his beverage and propped his feet on Dad's lounger, debating football boisterously with Uncle Dean, as usual. His spouse, Jenna, sat on the arm beside him. Her chuckles were airy and nonstop, like she was pleading for attention. I coughed to announce us. Happy Thanksgiving. Jake placed the pie down on the surface using both hands. We contributed sweets. Nobody spoke up immediately. It was my sister Rachel, for years my junior and ever the peacemaker, who eventually replied, "Hi, Lee, apologies. We weren't certain you'd make it." I blinked in surprise. You extended the invitation. Rachel gave a fragile shrug, her grin tense. Well, Ryan interjected, perhaps you'd altered your schedule. Things have been hectic. Ella pulled lightly on my sleeve. Mommy, where should we sit? I glanced at the dining area. 12 seats, napkins arranged, place cards penned in Jenna's swirling handwriting. 12 dishes, a single extended table. I recounted. No separate spot for children, no booster seats, no extra seats dragged from storage like in past years. Only 12. Rachel noticed my stare and coughed awkwardly. We thought the little ones could dine in the family room. There's pizza and a film. It'll be enjoyable for them. Jake remained silent, but he'd already observed plenty. Nobody inquired about our well-being. Nobody asked about the progress on the new place, or if I required assistance with Ella's education matters. I hadn't anticipated a lot, but I'd hoped for a bit. I surveyed that space, my childhood residence, my folks, my brothers and sisters, and for the initial time, it struck me. I'd shown up as a visitor when they weren't convinced they'd welcomed me. Ella's fingers remained clasped in mine. I didn't grip in return. Not immediately. I assisted the children in getting comfortable in the family room. Pizza, disposable dishes, a single fluffy throw for 2 small knees. They dubbed it the enjoyable setup, but nobody checked if they preferred it. I lingered a bit more, straightening Ella's locks, fixing Jake's shirt. His gaze stayed fixed on mine. When can we head back? He whispered faintly. Soon, I replied, but not quite now. Returning to the kitchen, the whiskey had poured a tad more generously. Dad chuckled at a remark from Ryan. Mom was uncorking yet another red wine, avoiding my direction. I positioned the casserole next to a platter of untouched deviled eggs. I believe we'll depart following the sweets, I announced amid a conversational lull. Nobody glanced up. Then Ryan lifted his tumbler. Busy parent duties. Huh. Always hurrying off. Jenna tittered. We understand. Solo parenting routine. She uttered it as if she'd never required aid from anybody. She uttered it as though I stood farther than 3 feet distant. I aligned my posture. My tone stayed steady, though it came out softly. Actually, there's something I must reveal that captured their focus. Jenna's grin stiffened. Rachel placed her glass aside. I'm stepping away. I declared from all of it. The school fee support. The utility payment for Mom's spot. The additional expenses. Dad's expression shifted first, merely a glimmer, but noticeable. That mild bewilderment like somebody had rearranged his belongings unasked. I assumed you desired to, Rachel murmured gently. I did. I affirmed with a nod, and I still do care. But I can't shoulder it all any longer. Ryan huffed. Since when does sharing a utility cost count as shouldering anything? I regarded him. He hadn't settled his college debts in a decade. My parents continued funding his vehicle coverage, but I held back. I'm choosing what's optimal for me and the children, I stated in its place. That's it. Nobody expressed gratitude for my past efforts. Nobody questioned why at this moment. Mom eventually chimed in. We never requested you to. The quietness afterward wasn't uncomfortable. It was conclusive. I grabbed Ella's cardigan from a chair's rear and tucked it beneath my arm. Jake joined me in the corridor, clutching a pizza edge. Are we departing? I peered along the passage, beyond the jackets, beyond the picture holders unchanged for 10 years. My image appeared in none. Not immediately, I repeated. But a part had already departed. We journeyed back in almost total quiet. The children napped in the rear, their heads leaning toward one another, still carrying hints of buttery dough and spice. The vehicle felt cozy, but I opened the window slightly regardless. I required the chill to remain alert. The apartment seemed hushed upon entry. Too hushed, the sort that once seemed isolated. But this evening, it seemed like inhaling freely once more. Jake tossed his footwear in the entry, then returned to align them properly. I used to prompt him, now he prompted himself. Ella settled onto my lap on the couch unprompted, her cheek pressed against my top, tacky from icing and an unvoiced sentiment. Did we mess up? She muttered, sound muffled. I didn't reply instantly. I tidied her strands, tallied the intervals between her inhalations. No, sweetie, I responded at last. We simply don't always control how people behave toward us, but we do control what we hold dear. She drew away, regarding me earnestly. Do we continue caring for them? The inquiry lacked resentment, merely the curiosity that dwells in kids too innocent for adult letdowns. I believe affection can endure, I noted, even with fewer visits. Jake had nestled into the cover beside us, silent, lids ajar, but distant. He hadn't sought embraces in ages, but he placed his head on my limb, and that sufficed. We remained that way a while. No television, no ambient sounds, merely the cadence of our own tranquility. On the low table, I spotted the sheet Ella had sketched earlier that week. 3 simple figures linking hands beneath a lopsided sun. She'd inscribed our names in wobbly violet ink. Jake, Ella, Mom. No elders, no relatives, nobody absent, nobody surplus. I didn't alter it. I didn't amend it. I simply grabbed a fastener and attached it to the cooler, exactly where we'd view it daily. Outdoors, the breeze swept the final foliage over the concrete. Indoors, we were precisely in our rightful spot. The initial mist ring arrived Tuesday from Rachel, then a pair from Mom, one from an unfamiliar digit. I recognized it as Dad's. He never stored his own info. I didn't pick up. The messages accumulated like ignored letters. Brief ones, abrupt. No regrets, just bits of phrases unsure of placement. Hey, Alyssa. Merely verifying you arrived safely. The little ones appeared fine. We're dealing with a minor issue at the residence. Not major, just that it'd be nice to chat. Your dad sends regards. By Friday, Jenna had dispatched a note via Instagram. Not a regular message. Hey, quick alert. Ryan's facing issues. Could be helpful for the kin to gather. Tell me when you can visit. Not inquiring about you. Not expressing absence, just alert. That evening, I lingered in the kitchen with my device screen down and illumination low. Jake slumbered on the couch, a borrowed tome slipping from his torso. Ella hummed tunefully in the tub, reciting her top tune from Recall. I rested on the surface, observing the crimson alert glow throb like a pulse. I didn't activate it. I didn't require to. They weren't connecting due to recalling my value. They were connecting because a fracture appeared. The following day, Rachel appeared. She didn't notify beforehand, just rapped, clutching a sack of pastries, as if we remained undergrads. As if this stayed a weekend breakfast prior to life's complexities. She appeared weary, makeup incomplete, gaze shifting. May I enter? She inquired. I moved over. She didn't settle promptly, just lingered near the surface, toying with a cup that needed no cleaning. It's Ryan, she stated. He could have. Okay, he committed a foolish act. And now Mom and Dad are, well, not in a solid position either. I paused. She eyed me cautiously. They could truly benefit from your aid in resolving this. There it lay. Not let's converse, not our regrets. Just the implied equation of you repair matters. But I no longer held that role. I'm pleased you visited, I responded softly. I truly am. Her posture rose with brief optimism. But I don't believe I'm the person they ought to summon. Rachel didn't dispute, just gazed at the cup, then affirmed as if a matter had resolved. Before departing, she surveyed the apartment again. You've truly turned this into a home. I didn't mention the children had handled much of that. I received no word for 6 days. Then the electronic notes began. Not directed to me, to Jake's Academy. Ella's childcare. Both listed urgent contacts under my parents. Both marked for overdue fees. Next arrived a ring from my former financial advisor. I still maintain notifications from managing Dad's home loan during his operation long ago. Just a polite notice, she mentioned. Your dad included a new individual on the account recently. There's been transactions. Transactions? That's their term for somebody withdrawing $19,000 over 14 days. The somebody was Ryan. Evidently, he'd loaned against the property, then tapped Dad's borrowing limit to mask a collapsed enterprise scheme, some crypto-tinge fiasco lacking documents, lacking strategy, just assurance and appeal, and now the barrier's closed in. Mom messaged a complete section. Not furious, just disjointed. If you've got any capacity, we could use assistance bargaining with the lender. You always excelled at phrasing. They heed you more than us. No reference to the holiday. No reference to the dish I bore like an olive branch, just we require you. I gazed at the note extensively. The next day, Rachel forwarded an image. It depicted the home's entry step. Peeling color, a repossession warning affixed to the entrance like a mark of shame. She added no description. She didn't have to. That evening, Jake overheard me clattering plates more noisily than intended. He shuffled in, wiping drowsiness from his vision. They're facing problems, right? He questioned. I paused, then confirmed. Yeah, they are. He stared at the ground, digits flexing on the chilly floor. Will we assist them? I crouched next to him, a palm on his spine. We'll do what's optimal for us. That's my commitment. He inclined toward me, compact and cozy and reliant. Previously, I'd have been en route across the area, device ready, emergency outline prepared, lender discussions pending. But I remained on that kitchen surface embracing my boy and observing the pot vapor. They'd constructed a fragile structure around Ryan, persuaded the daylight began and ended with him. And now that it fractured, they sought my repair. But I'd ceased providing adhesive to a location where I lacked an invitation to rest. Rachel rang once more on a Sunday dawn, this time sooner than typical. I was sorting clothes, the daylight scarcely risen. The children remained asleep. Her tone was level. No introduction. They could forfeit the property this week. I halted with one of Jake's tops in grasp, the one with the dimmed spacecraft. What do you expect from me? She didn't reply promptly. At last, just visit. Converse with them. Perhaps they'll heed if you're present. I nearly grinned. Not for humor, for familiarity. She continued. They don't require funds. They need aid in discussions. Your steady tone. Your reasoning. My steady tone. My reasoning. All the traits they rejected as domineering, distant, overly strategic until this point. I informed her I'd consider it. That night, she arrived unannounced again. This time, no pastries, just her attendance and a binder. Within, records, correspondences, a scrawled message from Mom resembling a shopping roster more than a request. I'm merely the courier, she noted swiftly. Don't blame me. I'm not upset, I replied and intended it. She inhaled. Look, I recognize it hasn't been equitable. I recognize they've depended on you beyond others. I paused, but family bonds persist and we're submerged. You understand how dire it appears if the home sinks. The locals gossip, the congregation gossips. There it stood. The genuine motive, not dread of homelessness, dread of humiliation. Rachel regarded me, seeking our former connection. You always maintained harmony. I sealed the binder softly. I'm not upset, I restated. but I'm finished being valuable solely when it harms me. Rachel didn't truly contest, but her tone altered. So that's that, she remarked, too casually. You're simply done. It lacked malice, but it lacked concern too. I'm not done, I answered. I merely ceased appearing where I'm uninvited. She lingered there momentarily, posture rigid, then gathered the binder and placed it on the surface regardless, just in case, she whispered. I didn't escort her out. Later that evening, I discovered Ella dozing in my bed, coiled in the covers like a hidden treasure. I didn't relocate her. I simply reclined beside her and observed the lunar glow through the shades, silent as snowfall. The subsequent occasion the bell chimed, it was Dad. I hadn't encountered him face to face since the holiday. He seemed more aged than recalled, slimmer, the type of exhaustion no rest could mend. He clutched his cap in his palms like a youngster. Uttered my name once, softly. May I enter? I didn't respond. I merely shifted aside. He didn't settle. He wandered slightly, examined the kin snapshots on the corridor wall. Jake's science event. Ella in her space explorer costume for the holiday. You've succeeded, he commented. I paused. He exhaled. Your sibling. He wasn't prepared. We overlooked it. I allowed the quiet to linger. Let him experience it. He peeked at me. Your mom wished to join, but she's ashamed. I suggested without unkindness. He didn't refute it. We never intended to exclude you. He claimed it simply became tangled. Your decisions complicated matters. Your decisions, the known chorus. The choices I took for self-protection now portrayed as loads they never elected to bear. I didn't visit to debate, he appended hastily, just to inquire if there's anything, any way you might assist in keeping it intact. I regarded him, truly observed. This gentleman had nurtured me, instructed me to swap wheels, manage finances, grip firmly, but never once shown me how to seek aid without masking it in dignity. You created a setup, I articulated gradually, where I didn't fit, unless beneficial. And now you desire my return, not from longing, from the setup's collapse. He parted his lips, sealed them. I approached nearer, not for solace, but for clarity. I was present, I declared. Every celebration, every expense, every crisis, you simply overlooked me. He remained mute. I was present. I reiterated. You just found simplicity in my absence. The quietness that ensued differed from prior ones. He didn't attempt to occupy it. When he departed at last, he left the binder Rachel had delivered. He omitted farewell, just inclined his head and shut the entrance after. I lingered there a while. Then I extinguished the entry illumination. Winter arrived softly that season. The festivities elapsed with reduced rings, no welcomes, no shared messages. The hush wasn't severe. It was intentional. I didn't adorn extensively, merely some glows around the pane, and a modest evergreen Jake and Ella selected personally. Synthetic baubles, cardboard celestial bodies from class. It sufficed. One dawn, shortly post New Year's, I accessed the postbox and discovered a scrawled missive. No sender's location. It originated from Mom. Across sheets, thick script, not fully a regret, not fully anything, mainly recollections, indistinct sorrows, and a single phrase prominent. We didn't intend to wound you. We simply didn't grasp your place anymore. I refolded the missive into its casing and stowed it in the compartment next to clippers and extra cells. I didn't discard it. I simply didn't revisit it. 7 days on, Jake inquired if we could update the corridor display. What do you imply? I questioned. He indicated the aged images from long ago, stage performances, anniversaries, some of me with kin when we believed maturing signified uniting. We could focus on us now, he suggested. So we proceeded. We removed each holder, cleared the particles, and began anew. Alyssa, Jake, Ella, outdoor gatherings, reading honors, space explorer outfits. One shot captured us three on the seating, limbs entwined, chuckling at a private jest. That one I enlarged. I positioned it centrally in the passage. No label, no added titles, just us. Several days afterward, Rachel messaged the property transferred. Mom and Dad relocated with Ryan temporarily. It's chaotic, but perhaps improve thus. I didn't reply. Nothing remained to explain. That evening, post-bedtime for the children, I brewed tea and settled by the pane. The entry glow remained dark. I observed the road stay calm. I observed absence occur. And for the initial time in ages, I didn't prepare for the subsequent tap. I didn't justify myself. I didn't provide a new location. If you've ever needed to reconstruct your narrative without explaining to others, simply extinguish a glow. We'll comprehend.